been a comment going around about, Josh, can you do an old school 4-4-2? And finally, I've got round to making it happen, and we've included one of the weaker Premier League teams and taken them to the top. I want to say this tactic won the treble with Everton, so we're going to talk through how we done that, what changes we made, but trust me, if you want a 4-4-2 that's a little bit more direct, this is going to be the one for you. If you enjoy the tactics on this channel, be sure to leave a like and subscribe and turn on the notification bell. Let's get right into it, and let's see how we took Everton from here all the way to here. So that is right, we took Everton with this tactic from the bottom all the way to champions, and no, it was not perfect. We won 28 games, we drew 4 and we lost 6, but I do want to say the difference in this is I played every single game. Now, in that being said, I did switch between every single tactic in terms of variance, so all throughout the games I was going from balance to attacking to defensive, so my default tactic, attacking tactic, defense tactic, I was switching between all three, so I will say that has to be considered. Obviously, we're switching about to cater for different sort of situations in the game as you would back at home playing. Now, what I was really impressed with is the goal scorers in this team. Beto, we know, is a little bit broken in the game anyway, so 43 goals for him. Calvert-Lewin with 27. We've got 3 players in the average rating, and Danjuma and Dwight McNeil actually first and joint second when it comes to assists in the Premier League. Now, the one thing we didn't do as well in, we didn't rank 1 when it comes to the clean sheets. Arsenal were a little bit better than us, but it's fine because we got the job done in the Premier League, and as you can see, where we really sort of come out and put on a display is going to be with the goals being scored. 120 in our favour, which is great because we're outscoring Man City, Villa, United, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, and that is because we were not afraid to have loads of shots at goal. Possession-wise, we're not going to be on there realistically. Conceded, second place, clean sheets, third place. Defensively, not too bad either, but the real reason we were doing so well is because having shots at goal on this game and in real life is honestly a big thing to do when you're a small team, because as long as you can get a set piece out of it or it's on target, you don't know what can happen. And for us, we were ripping out quite a fair few shots a game, and we can see that obviously in the data hub as well. We're looking at over 16.7 shots a game, over 3 goals a game, 0.92 conceded, sorry, which again, sometimes it is a little bit lower, but we have got to take into consideration we are Everton, one of the weakest teams in the Premier League, of course a team which, you know, aren't expected to get anywhere near the top 8, top 6, top 4, let alone win the Premier League, so we've done incredibly well. The pass completion is going to be low because, again, it's quite a direct tactic, so that is one thing to bear in mind. But in general, we come out and we actually didn't just do that, we also go out and win the FA Cup here in 1-0 against Brentford. I will say a lot of these competitions, the games were very close, as to be expected with a team like Everton and the way we're playing, but we get the job done there in the FA Cup, and we also win the Carabao Cup, and this one we're going to watch the highlights from because we beat City 6-2. For some reason it won't let me actually watch that game, so we have gone slightly down in the calendar to get some highlights, and this is a game against Manchester United in the FA Cup semi-final. We got off to a very good start there. Beto now in the 29th minute, who played such a big part in his team, really doing a lot for that goal for Dwight McNeil, who plays it back inside to Onana, through over the top into Danjuma, into Calvert-Lewin to make it 3 in 31 minutes. We're now up to the 52nd minute with Beto down to the right into Ghana. It's a bit of a scrappy one, but we'll take it. Go over to the Bundesliga, where, to be fair, the 4-4-2 never gets used, to be honest with you. A very unused formation in the Bundesliga. We come out and still put on a great display. 28 wins, 3 draws and only 3 losses. Those losses coming against Leipzig, Dortmund and FC Köln. The Dortmund game was the only real disappointment, to be fair. I will be saying that. Now, what I will say is, in terms of goal scoring, again, first and second the average rating, and first with Philip Max picking up the most assists. So, again, it is going to showcase that, you know, you can get your fullbacks very involved in getting assists in this tactic. On this occasion, we're also going to be joint first when it comes to picking up the most clean sheets. Now, going over to the stats, again, a very similar pattern compared to Everton. Most goals, most shots. Now, these two stats here are going to be the sole reason you are going to be competitive, because we are not afraid to have shots at goal, and naturally that is going to result in goals as well. Now, conceded wise, we're going to be second place again in fewest conceded, and funny enough, third place in the most clean sheets. So we're not bad when it comes to the defensive side of the game, but we are also not the best. But again, it doesn't really matter because this tactic is here to purely grind out results, and when you're winning titles, you really cannot complain. Now, going to the data hub, we are going to be looking at 2.82 goals per game, only 0.74 conceded, over 15.85 shots every single game, a great tackle win ratio, and again, the pass completion, it might look low, but you've got to understand, again, this is a very, very, very direct tactic. Now, let's go over to what else we won, because we We also did win the Europa Conference League against Fiorentina in 4-3 fashion. Again, a lot of these games are going to be quite close, and this was a very close game, and this is one which, you know, I would say potentially we could have won a little bit more comfortably, but Fiorentina aren't a bad side at the end of the day, and when it comes to the Pokal, we are also going to be winning that in 4-3 fashion as well, in extra time against FC Bayern. So that's quite funny, actually, to be fair, because that's basically the same scoreline twice, which is something quite special, but we'll take it, we'll move on with it. It's a very, very good season, and I'm surprised it's done so well in the Bundesliga. It wasn't the only time we beat Bayern Munich in this season. This is going to be a league game away from home where we actually win the game by 2 set pieces, so it goes to show, download the set pieces and they will win you games individually, because as an overall whole, that game, you could argue they should have won. I couldn't have a 4-4-2 and not test with a weak sort of Sky Bet League 1 side. That is going to be Fleetwood when we come out, and you know what? We seem to stack up a fair few draws, I will be honest, but we get the job done. 107 points, champions of the league, up into the championship. Again, we've got joint top goal scorers now in first. We've got 3 players in the average rating, and it is going to be Patterson with the most assists, and on this occasion, we also pick up the most clean sheets. So maybe a bit of an easier league in terms of, like, with a good tactic, you can dominate it, so that maybe is the reason. As you can see, most clean sheets, fewest conceded, most shots, and the most goals. Again, we are not going to have possession. We are never going to have possession because we are not a possession-based team, but we are very good at getting the goals and defending to a very, very, very high level. Now, the Data Hub is going to write the story as well at 2.59 goals a game, so a little bit less, but still enough to kill the games off. Only 0.85 conceded, a great amount of shots per game, a decent pass completion, I will say, for this standard, an attack win ratio, which you can't really complain about either. Now, in terms of the other competitions, again, that is the only thing we were able to win, but to be honest, I'll take it. We took a team predicted 15th, and we won the league with them. When we take it to even more a bit of a niche league, where you don't really see a 4-4-2 being used too much, it's going to be the Austrian Premier Division, which we do come out and win, but I will say, not as dominant as what other tactics have done with Salzburg, so I am going to say this tactic definitely is probably not designed for this league, and some leagues you are going to find this, but we still get the job done. We are not going to be top goal scorer, we are going to be second and third, and one of our players actually being a centre-back who did also play DM, I will be saying that as well, so that has got to be obviously taken into account, but overall, still a very good performance, most clean sheets, most average ratings, split between 3 players, and also most assists in that regard as well. And on this occasion, fewest conceded, most clean sheets, most dribbles, most shots, fewest shots against, most goals, pretty much everything we would expect going in our favour does go in our favour. Now, possession-wise, on this occasion, we actually are going to be in 4th place, but again, 53% of the ball, it's nothing special, and I will just keep stressing this in case you are testing this tactic and thinking, Josh, I'm not having any of the ball. You are not going to have possession. It's definitely an old school 4-4-2. You know, get the ball, go direct, make the runs in behind. Now, the Data Hub, again, we are going to look at it. It's going to be 3.42 goals every single game, 0.68 conceded, over 19.8 shots a game, approaching 20 shots a game, a decent pass completion, and a very tidy tackle win ratio there. Now, in terms of the other competitions, I'll be honest, usually we are used to winning the Austrian FA, but we didn't on this occasion, so I will say this is probably the one out of the 4 teams I'm a little bit disappointed in. Everton, obviously, is the pinnacle. We've done very well with Leverkusen, very well with Fleetwood, but this one, we've done okay, we won the league, but usually we see a little bit better results. I do want to say this is now the perfect time to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel, and if you enjoy the content that much, you can come over and hit the notification bell as well. This way you are never going to miss another upload, and if you do enjoy rebuilds, you want to see where my rebuilds have gone, they are now on my second channel in the description below, and if I remember, I'll also post a link up here. So go over, drop a subscription, because we post rebuilds as well, and obviously if you're a Patreon member, you can still get your files over there as well. So don't think they've gone, they're just in a new home now. But let's go over and talk about the old school 4-4-2. So I've got a 4-4-2 loaded on the screen right now. This is not the tactic, we are going to make the tactic. Now, it is going to be based around a custom wing play style on the attacking mentality, and as always, if you want to get today's tactic and the attacking tactic and a defensive tactic, which I would say you pretty much need to get the most out of this, you also want them on mobile and console, you want them early, you want my rebuild save files, you want to get priority in the tactic requests and the rebuild requests, and also access to a massive monthly giveaway where 5 people are going to be taking home £75 each at the end of this month. Come over and sign up to the Patreon, the link below, because it's the place to be. Over 4,500 people have signed up in around about 2 months, so we're growing and it's great to see. But let's go through and build this attacking 4-4-2, or as I like to call it, the old school 4-4-2. Now, the goalkeeper itself is going to be incredibly risk-free because I don't really need him doing anything special. Just do your job like they did back in the day. None of this faffy sweeper keeper, you know, coming out, passing it short. All of this, just nice and simple. Get the ball moving quickly, save shots, do your job. Nice and simple. Going over to the right back, we are actually going to go with a wing back, and we are going to have an instruction on him, and that is simply going to tell him to ease off tackles. Now, the reason I have done this is because I want this team to be quite a sit-back team where we actually almost invite pressure into box in terms of crossing the ball into the box, because we can deal with it. We're going to have 2 units at the back. We're always going to have defenders back and defending. We can afford to let them cross the ball into the box. Now, I rarely utilise this, but I did notice in this system it worked really, really well, because what happens is when we're not overcommitting to the wing back, we never really get exploited in terms of getting in behind. We've always got a sort of a back layer of 8, because this 4 block here will also come back and help defend. So therefore, with that being said, on the left-hand side, we're also going to have a wing back who is going to be told to do exactly the same thing. So that is going to be 2 wing backs, both on support, both on ease off tackles. Now in the middle, again, it is a wing play tactic, it's a direct tactic. I'm going to have no ball playing defenders, 2 central defenders, simply both on defend. Now again, if you can't play this because your team has only got players that can play ball playing roles, you can have it in, but it will take away a little bit of that old school vibe, but you still can play exactly the same way of playing. But for this, honestly, for this, it worked really well just having it like this. Nice and basic, nothing too strenuous. Again, we're trying to keep it basic because back in the day, there wasn't too many sort of, you know, roles going on, loads of things going on. It was just get on the pitch, do your job, defend, go and get your goals. And that's exactly what we've tried to do here. Now, what we will say is on the wings, we are going to go a little bit more sort of out there. So the wings are going to be both set to attack. I'll do that right now before we talk through the sort of player instructions. So 2 wingers on attack, and they are both going to be told to cross, aim center, and also run wide. Now, obviously, as you can imagine here, we're going to have 2 players in the box majority of the time. So I want them to be running wide with the ball, providing width for the team, because these wing backs, they are going to get somewhat forward, but not really too much forward. So the wingers have to make sure they are providing the width. And of course, get the ball into the box, because you already know we are going to be putting the ball into that box quite a fair bit at a time. And the great thing about having them on attack is, as you can see, they already are going to be crossing from the byline and crossing more often. So they're going to be doing exactly everything I want them to be doing in this team. Now, going over to the rest of the team, of course, the midfield is a very, very key part of this system. And what I will say of this regard is you have to make sure you got the balance. Now, I tried it going a lot more defensive in the balance tactic, and it simply didn't work. So we haven't gone attacking, but we've gone sort of 50-50 where box to box comes in who does get further forwards. In my opinion, in any 4-4-2 you play, you need to have a box-to-box, because he does do a mixture of the sort of roles in the team. He will get back and help defend, but also he will come in, get further forwards, help link up the play, you know, support these front 2 as well as the wingers are going to do, you know. You need that balance in the team. And next to him, because again, we are going to have a bit more of a direct approach, we are going to have a deep lying forward who is simply going to be set to support. And the job of this player is to sit deep, pluck the balls up over the top, because at the end of the day, when we are going to counter-attack, we are actually going to have a few people making good runs. So I want someone a little bit deeper to make sure they're seeing those runs and we're not simply wasting them. Now, going up to the top field, we are going to have a little look, and we are going to have a target forward who is simply going to be set to support. This is going to be, funny enough, the more supportive striker who is going to be set to shorter passing and roam from position. And next to him, again, we are going to double up with the target forwards. Again, if you haven't got 2 target forwards, then you could use an advanced forward, you could use a deep line forward maker, deep line forward, not forward maker, deep line forward, a poacher could be a good shout. But for me, we could play 2 target forwards in this team, so I've gone and done it, and he is simply going to be on shoot more often. And that basically means we've got a very basic system of a goalkeeper that's there doing a basic job, wingbacks getting forward and also defending very, very well. Not too aggressive on getting forward though. 2 very basic do your job central defenders, nothing too sort of crazy, dribbling forward, etc. No liberos. We've got 2 wingers who are actually going to be quite attacking, running wide, getting the ball in, but also having their own sort of tricks of the trade. A box-to-box defender, but also with the option to go forward. A player sitting deeper, who obviously is going to be holding the position and plucking balls over the top. A striker who is going to be a little bit deeper to pick up the ball, pass it short from side to side, or potentially in behind to his target forward, and then a play to actually hit, and we can rely on getting the goal. So it's a really well-balanced way of playing, and it is quite refreshing to see an older tactic being used. All built off a custom wing play on the attacking mentality. We are going to go all the way to wide, again, to provide width into this team. We are going to pass into space, and I will say, it actually is quite attacking, so don't feel like you're not going to score many goals, because it does get the job done. We are going to overlap left, overlap right, focus down the right and the left-hand side as well. We're not going to play out from the back, because we've got no ball-playing defenders, of course. We are, of course, going to be up to slightly more more direct with a higher, or on my screen it says standard, but on your screen it will be saying a higher tempo. We are also going to run at defence and mix crosses. Now again, I have kept this at mix because I'm trying to cater for everyone. I know not everyone can afford to have 2 target forwards in their team. If you have got 2 target forwards, go for the likes of floated crosses. But if you've got a mixture of strikers, one small, one tall, mixed is literally going to be your best result, 100%. In transition, we are simply going to counter press and counter, and we are going to distribute to the flanks on this occasion because a lot of the play is done through the wings. So why not get it moving as quick as you can? Go to the heart where it's happening, get it out wide, get it up the pitch, get it into the box, the Sean Dyche way. And lastly, out of possession, we are going to go with the standard line, the high press line of engagement, and on this occasion, for the first time in a while, invite crosses into the box with a more often trigger press. The attacking tactic does take a little bit of a switch up, so let's go through it. So the goalkeeper does remain the same. The wing back on the right and on the left are going to be a little bit different, and they are going to have a few more instructions. So now, the reason behind this is because obviously I want them to be a lot more attacker minded, so we are going to have them on support, but this time on cross more often, cross aim far post, run wide, stay wider, and ease off tackles. So again, we are letting them be a lot more expressive now, crossing a lot more, getting really stuck in. And yes, you are going to score more goals in the system, and I cannot stress the importance of having all 3 of these tactics today, because when you're playing, I assume you're going to be playing as a smaller team in the Premier League, if you are using a 4-4-2, you need to make sure you've got a lot of options to switch between in between the games. Now going over to the wings, again, we can see this right now. They are going to be exactly the same. I will clarify in case you did wonder, both of these remain the same as well, by the way. The midfield takes a little bit of a change, so we have basically switch the roles round, so the box-to-box is now going to be on the left, who is going to be told to get further forwards, and a deep lying playmaker does remain into the team exactly the same. Now, if you're wondering why I've not gone with 2 box-to-boxes, or for example, drag this guy up here, it's because I want to stick in that 4-4-2 sort of formation, and also these 2 in midfield are actually quite attacking. A box-to-box attacks and a deep lying playmaker, although won't be up scoring goals, he is going to be creating a lot of chances, so he does play a very pivotal part of this team. Now, the front 2 is going to consist of a target forward on the left now, on attack, on shoot more often, and the advanced forward on the right is going to simply be on the default. So again, we have scrapped the support role. We've got a target forward to hit, obviously from long balls, and the advanced forward is going to be making dart and runs in behind. So this is really going to get the goals you might have been missing. If you are, this is what you're going to want. So again, off the custom wing play on the attacking mentality, we are going to go all the way down to wide when it comes to the attack and width. We're going to pass into the space while we're going to focus down the left and the right hand side. Of course, overlap and runs are going to be required, especially in an attack and tactic. We are going to be a little bit more direct now, so let's get the balls into the box by hitting early crosses. We're going to run at defence, and this does remain exactly the same. So the real big difference in this, of course, is going to be really getting the ball into the box early, because we're trying to get goals, and getting it in the box sooner rather than later is going to be probably our best chance of scoring. Now in transition, we are going to go with counter press, counter, take long goal kicks, which means it can go to anybody across some people at the back line, and we are going to do this quickly because then we can catch a lot of people off guard and potentially get that advanced sword in behind a lot easier. And out of possession, we are going to go with that standard line. We are also going to match with the high press line of engagement much more often when it comes to that trigger press. We're going to get stuck in, and again, we are going to invite crosses. Now the real change here obviously is getting stuck in, taking the game to them, but we can afford to invite crosses in because we've got the 2 central defenders. We didn't really concede at all from that sort of, direct approach against us, so invite the crosses in. And now for the defensive tactic, and again, this is purely designed to defend a game out. I would not recommend going into a game like this, just to clarify that before anyone thinks about doing it. The goalkeeper does remain the same, but actually he doesn't. I nearly forgot. I have gone with take fewer risks. Now I will say, some might say this is overkill, but you've got to understand I'm trying to have a tactic here which is purely the most risk-free element when it comes to having it in dangerous areas. So the goalkeeper is a dangerous area. I don't want him necessarily trying to do anything too fancy. We're trying to run the clock down. When we've got the ball, we can go long in midfield, but from the goalkeeper point of view, just run the clock down, take your time, do your shoelace, whatever you've got to do. Now the wing back on the right and on the left are both going to be on defend, on ease off tackles. Both of the central defenders are also going to be set to the default, which completes a very defensive back line. Now, we're not only going to have that as a back line, because the wingers now on the right and on the left are also going to be on support, on cross aim centre, run wides and get further forwards. A ball winning midfield player is going to come in now on defend, a lot different to what we had before on Mark Titer, with a defensive deep lying playmaker. So we are literally going to have a 4 and a 4, a back 8 block, which will defend, and it will be an absolute nightmare to try and get the ball in against us. And if they do, we're going to have so many people back you are not going to win the header. And of course, because of that reason, we've gone back with a double target forward setup on the right, pass it shorter and roam on support, and on the left, an attack and shoot more often vibe, because we need to get the ball to a target forward, because really we're sat back relying on them two to get the goals. So again, custom wing play. This time we are going to go all the way down to balance when it comes to the mentality. Again, this is purely to time waste, so we are going to go all the way to wide still. We still are going to focus down the left and the right because it is a wing play tactic. We're going to pass into the space, but this is where it gets a little bit changey. So the tempo goes down to slightly lower. The directness goes all the way up to the max, which means physically we cannot work the ball into the box. Not that we would sort of want to be doing that anyway. We are now going to add in a little bit of the dark elements of the game. Time wasting frequently. Play for set pieces selected, and because again we don't want to sit back and have nothing, we are going to run at defense when we've got the ball, because I still want the opportunity to score a goal, but when we haven't, let's be a little bit, be a little bit on the dark side, time waste, play for set pieces. My set pieces cook, so I'm confident in scoring for them alone, so why not have them selected? Now in transition we are going to go with regroup, because again, we don't want to over, tire the players, make them press, regroup, drop back. You can see here, this four are going to drop back and almost form that back eight, and even the strikers are going to come back, so you can have fun breaking that down. We are also going to counter attack, meaning when we have got the ball, it shows it really well actually in these diagrams here, so they're going to come back when we haven't, and when we've got the ball, they're going to fly back forward, so it's going to be very hard for a team to sort of judge how quickly we're going to break, and also when we're coming back, passing through that line is going to be very complicated. We're going to slow the pace down, and we're going to take long goal kicks. On this occasion, we are going to go to the target forward because we have got two, so we may as well try and hit them. And lastly, out of possession, we are going to go with the standard line, the mid-block line of engagement. Standard, stay on feet, drop off more, and invite crosses. We are going to be one of the hardest teams to break down you will ever see in football. We're going to have a mid-block. We're very ease-offy. We're not going to put in challenges. It's going to be an absolute nightmare. But when we do win the ball back, through hopefully wasting as much time as what we can, we are going to directly counter, and you can have fun stopping that. But that is going to complete for you boys and girls back home 3 variants of the old school 4-4-2, which I love making, to be fair. If you have enjoyed, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Again, if you are missing the rebuilds, I've not stopped them. So if you are a Patreon member, I've not stopped them. You're not missing out. They are now on my second channel. You can find in the description below. Hopefully you have enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one.